Hi everyone, I'm Nick Olivo, and today we're looking at the Marvel Multiverse Character sheet in Roll20. And the idea here is, if you're a narrator who has a new player, maybe they're new to Marvel Multiverse, or just new to Marvel Multiverse on Roll20, this video will show them where everything lives on their character sheet and how it works, so that, come game night, they'll be able to navigate their character sheet with confidence. And I'll put a link down in the video description that will jump the players straight to the spot in the video where we begin discussing the character sheet, so you can just share that with them, they can click on it, and be good to go. Before we dive in, I'd just like to thank Roll20 for sponsoring this video. Alright, so let's get you acquainted with your new character sheet. And in this video, I'll show you how to roll initiative, how to make attack rolls, how to learn more about your powers, how to track conditions, as well as a few other things along the way. I'm not going to be covering all the rules, and I'm not going to be going over every possible scenario in the Marvel Multiverse game, but by the time we're done, you should have a good grasp of where everything lives on your sheet and how it works, so that come game night, you'll be able to navigate your sheet with confidence. Let's dive in. Now, you probably already know that you can open your character sheet by going to the Journal tab in Roll20 and clicking on your character's name. But you can also open your sheet by right-clicking on your character's token and selecting Open Character. Now, with our sheet open, we can begin doing things. But it's also good to mention that when you're done with your sheet, just double-click on the title bar here, and that will minimize your sheet and tuck it away so that you can still see everything going on in the battlefield, but you don't need to completely close your sheet. You can just double click on your title bar again to bring the sheet back to its full size. That's just really handy to keep things tidy as you're going through the game. So in our first example scenario here, we're going to have Spider-Man square off against Mysterio. So when a combat breaks out, the narrator of the game is going to ask us to roll initiative. So they're going to open this turn order window, and then we need to click on the Roll Initiative button right here on our sheet. That rolls our initiative and displays the results here in the chat. Every roll made in the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game is done by rolling 3d6, adding them up, and then adding any relevant modifiers to your roll. So here we see I rolled a 1, a 6, and a 6. That's a total of 13. And then initiative is based off of your vigilance ability, which is a 3. So we add another 3 to our roll, which gives us a 16 total. So Spider-Man has a 16 on his initiative. At this point, our narrator would roll initiative for Mysterio. And we see that Mysterio got a 14. Because Spider-Man's initiative is higher, he'll go first. When it's your turn, you can take both a standard action and a movement action. All of the actions available to all characters are listed here on the character sheet. And in terms of regular actions, we're talking about things like attacking, dodging, escaping, grabbing. And movement are things like running, climbing, jumping, web swinging, flight, all of that good stuff. So you can move and take a standard action. You can take a standard action and then move, or you can be moving and take your standard action. So you could run up, punch somebody, and then if you've got movement left, move away. So let's have a real simple example here. Let's say that Spider-Man wants to run up and punch Mysterio. To figure out how far we can move, we're going to go to the Speed and Size tab here. And this shows us all the different types of movement that Spider-Man can do and how many squares on the board he can move with each of those different types of movement. So we can run 6 squares, we can jump 6 squares, and we can web swing 18 squares. But Spider-Man and Mysterio are pretty close together right now, so we're just going to need to move up 1 square, and then we can make our attack. To actually make that attack, we're going to go to Ability Scores, and we're going to figure out, are we making a ranged attack or a melee attack? And this is going to be melee because we're punching. So what we're going to do is click on the attack button right here. And what that's going to do is roll both an attack roll and a damage roll against Mysterio. So here we can see that we rolled our 3d6. We've got 3, 3, 4, so that's 10. And then we add our melee score to the roll, which is a 5, which gives us 15. So now our narrator will say, yes, a 15 is enough to hit Mysterio. And then they will take the 20 damage that we've dealt and apply that to Mysterio's health. And the way you calculate damage in the Marvel Multiverse is you take the center die that you've rolled here. This is called the Marvel die. And you multiply that by your character's rank, which in Spider-Man's case is a 4. So It would be 3 times 4, but you'll notice down here it says 3 times 5. That's because Spider-Man has another power here called Mighty 1, which increases his melee damage multiplier by 1. So 4 plus 1 is 5, 3 times 5 is 15, and then we add our melee score modifier here to the damage at the end, which is that plus 5. So 3 times our damage multiplier of 5 plus 5 is 20 damage total that we've dealt to Mysterio. So now our narrator has made an attack roll for Mysterio. So Mysterio's going to try and punch Spider-Man, and he rolled a 16. What we're going to do is compare that 16, the attack, to our melee defense here, which we see is a 19. So Spider-Man, being very nimble, is able to dodge out of the way, and Mysterio does not connect. However, you'll notice that the center die here is an M. So this, again, is the Marvel die, and when you roll an M on the Marvel die, that means something fantastic has happened. If you roll a 6, an M, and a 6, that is the ultimate fantastic roll that you can get, and means the player automatically succeeds on whatever it was they were trying to do. If your roll succeeds and you have an M, then that's a fantastic success, and it's sort of like a yes and function. You succeed, and something else beneficial happens. In this example, Mysterio has failed, but he has an M on the Marvel die, which means that even though he fails, something is going to happen to his advantage, and it's up to the narrator to decide what that is. Maybe his punch misses, Spidey dodges out of the way, Mysterio punches this pane of glass back here, and accidentally sets off a flash bomb that Mysterio was holding. So let's say that we do that. Now, the way that Mysterio's flash bombs work is you make an ego roll against the target's vigilance defense. So here, our narrator has rolled an ego roll of 14, and we compare that to Spider-Man's vigilance defense, which in this case is a 13. So that means that the flash bomb goes off and does blind Spider-Man. So to track when your character has been afflicted by a particular condition, come down here to the condition section and just click on the appropriate condition that will mark it in red to say that that condition is currently afflicting your character. So right now, Spider-Man has been blinded. Now here I've just pulled up the description of what the blinded condition does, and we can see that any powers the character is concentrating on that require line of sight and immediately, Spider-Man doesn't have powers that require concentration. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. The character's speed is reduced by half for all modes of travel, and they have trouble on all action checks that require line of sight, and enemies have an edge on all action checks against the character that would reasonably require line of sight to defend against or dodge. So what do edge and trouble actually mean? Okay, so let's start out with edge. Let's say now that we've come back around and let's say it's Mysterio's turn again. Spider-Man is still blinded. Mysterio is going to try and punch Spider-Man, and again, that'll be just a regular melee attack roll. So we'll have Mysterio make that attack. You can see here he's rolled a 12, which is not enough to beat Spider-Man's defense of 19. But because Mysterio has edge, he gets to re-roll one of these dice, and if he gets a higher number, he can use that new number in the overall rolls calculation. So let's go ahead, let's do that. We're just going to go to the die roller here, and we're just going to roll a d6, and let's say that we're replacing this 2. So we would take the 3 now, so 3 plus M is 6, plus 4 is only a 13. That's still not enough to hit Spider-Man, but because Mysterio got another M here, it means something else has happened that's going to work in his favor. Trouble is the opposite of edge and represents some difficulty that the character is having. So when your character has trouble, like with edge, you roll a d6, but the difference is you take the highest number from your initial die roll. So in Mysterio's case, it's going to be that M, which is a 6, and he's going to replace it with this new die roll if it's lower. So he has now a 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is only a 9 rather than the original 12. Now let's say that Spider-Man has taken damage from Mysterio. You see here Mysterio rolled 12 damage. You simply just click right here on health and deduct the amount of health that you've lost. So we would go down to 78. Alternatively, you can click on your character's token, find your health value, and you can actually type in the amount that you've lost. So I could just say minus 12 here, and that would reduce my overall health by that number. Let's put Spidey back up to 90. You also have a focus value, which represents your character's overall capacity for concentration and willpower. And your focus can go down if you suffer, say, a psychic attack, but it can also go down through expending certain powers. So if we look at Spider-Man's web grabbing ability, we can see that it costs him 5 focus in order to use this power. So just like with health, what you can do is click on the appropriate bubble and type in -5, and that will reduce your character's focus, or you can edit it directly here on your character sheet to whatever value you need. Let's set Spidey back up to the maximum there of 90. Your character also has a pool of karma points, and you can spend these points to give yourself edge on a particular roll, or you can also use karma to recover health or focus. So if Spider-Man had been badly injured, and let's say he's down to 20 health, we could spend a point of karma to regain some of that health. So to recover health with karma, you make a resilience check, and you need to roll a 10 or higher on the check in order for this to work. So here, Spider-Man rolled an 11, so that is successful. And then we take that total and we multiply it by the character's rank, so by 4. So Spider-Man would recover 44 health, so we just say plus 44, and there we go. If we were trying to recover focus, so let's say our focus was 20, it's the same process, except instead of rolling resilience, you roll vigilance. We rolled higher than 10, so this was successful, and we're going to take 14, multiply it by our character's rank, which is 4, and we're going to get 56 back in this case, so plus 56, and there we go. And then once you've spent the karma, just click on here on your character sheet and reduce your score by 1, or if you've got it wired up to a bubble, you can do the same thing as you did with health points. You can just -1 here and be good to go. I also want to take a second and talk about the traits and tags section down here on the sheet. These cover all sorts of things such as talents and skills and minor superpowers that your character may have. And so if we look at one of these, say audience, we can see that by making an ego check, the character can persuade the audience, as the people around them, to provide help in the form of information or resources. So Spider-Man could persuade someone to give him some key piece of information. Tags are only for narrative purposes. There's no mechanical benefit to any tags here. We see that Spider-Man is poor, and he has a secret identity, and he has a familial obligation to take care of his Aunt May. All of those things are key about Spider-Man, but they don't have anything to do with his powers like traits do. Now, just to talk about a few other sections of the sheet, the roleplay section here gives you some other information about the character's appearance, their personality, any flaws that they may have. It lists out the teams that they are a part of. So Spider-Man has worked with the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the Spider Army. If they have a base of operations, in Spidey's case, that's New York City. We see information about the character's origin, their occupation, and their history. And then the notes section is a spot for you to jot down any information about what's going on in your current campaign. So we could say that Mysterio has new flash bombs that cause blindness. And then there's other information here that you can jot down, miscellaneous stuff if you want to track information about a particular fight that you had, or information that, say, Nick Fury gave you for your latest mission. At any point in time, if your narrator or someone else in the game wants to know what one of your powers or abilities do, you can click on the little word bubble icon next to that item to display it in chat. So this is what Spider-Man's Brilliance 1 power is all about. This other icon is used to indicate when someone is concentrating on a power. Spider-Man has no concentration-based powers, but his ally, the Scarlet Witch, most certainly does. So if we bring up her character sheet, and she decides that she wants to cast a Jinx on Mysterio, we can see that that's going to cost her 5 focus, and it requires concentration. So we're going to click this icon to indicate that she is concentrating on this particular power. You can concentrate on a number of powers equal to your character's rank. So Scarlet Witch can concentrate on up to 5 powers at a time. And so, between Scarlet Witch and Spider-Man, Mysterio is defeated and the day is saved. One final thing before I sign off. make sure you spend some time looking through all of the different powers that your character has. We all know that Spider-Man has a spider sense that warns him of danger, but in game mechanics, his spider sense gives him an edge on initiative checks. So that means every time you roll initiative with Spider-Man, you should also roll edge, and that way your initiative score may be higher. And that's good, because we want our heroes to go first. So, spend some time looking through all of your powers, make sure you understand how they work, ask questions of your narrator if you have them, and that way, when game night rolls around, you'll be ready to play. So there you have it, an overview of the Marvel Multiverse character sheet in Roll20. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your players. And until next time, folks, have a great day.